John Cena's final match happened this last Saturday night's main event. I'm going to cover that and let you know my thoughts on the entire show. And I will be talking about AEW Collision that happened prior to Saturday night's main event. All of that here on Screw the Script. Welcome back, everybody, to Screw the Script. I'm your host, as always, Maverick, bringing back the old school mask from earlier times on my channel, the Rey Mysterio mask. Felt like it was needed for this video as I'm going to be covering Saturday night's main event, which I did watch live with some friends. A lot to talk about there for the small card that we did have. Only 4 matches for the show. But I will say, before I go into really, covering it, it was probably the best Saturday night's main event of 2025. And then I'm also going to cover Collision on the second half of this video. But let's get right into WWE stuff first, as it was, in fact, John Cena's final match in WWE against Gunther. We'll save that for last. Let's quickly, right up here, this was the card that we had. Honestly, not much to ride home about for a majority of the card. I mean, you got 4 matches only, and really, people only bought the tickets, probably, most likely anyway, to see Cena's final match. And that's really the only good thing that happened on the card. As divisive and split down the middle as I've seen the Cena match and how it ended, which again, I'll get to more details about my thoughts on that in a few minutes here. The worst match of the night was the opening match. Cody versus Obafemi. Obafemi, by the way, I think is a fucking star. He is great in NXT. And this match was on track to being an insanely good match. It started off really good. I like the two of them in the ring against each other. I hope it's not the last time we see it. But my God, was the air just sucked out of my life and my lungs, as well as probably many people in the fans, when we saw Drew McIntyre come out and interrupt the match, ending the match short. It was not the right call. It was only like 6 or 7 minutes into the match, and you saw what could have been an instant classic between these two get ended short. An awful choice, awful booking to have that match finish the way it did, because again, like I said, it was off to a superb start, actually. Obafemi's got the whole look. He's got the entrance. He's got the physique. He's good on the mic. He is going to be a star for WWE for some time. He's only 27. He's one of the rare young stars that I see molding in WWE. There's a lot in NXT that are also young, but you can tell that they're not ready yet to get called up, and I feel like a lot of them aren't going to go very far when they do, just because of years past with a lot of NXT call-ups. But Obafemi, I don't know how in the hell you're going to mess him up. We'll see if they do or not. But yeah, that match, just an awful outcome. Then we had the Bayley versus Solo Ruka match, I believe was next. This match was fine. Quick 10-minute women's match. Nothing great to write home about. Solo Ruka picks up the victory over Bayley. That's really all I had to say on that, because there wasn't much to say about that otherwise. And then AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, Javon and Leon. Honestly, it was a decent match, but unfortunately the only thing that I remember, and a lot of people will probably remember from it, was unfortunately AJ Styles' rare whiff in the match where he slipped on the top rope. I believe he was going for the phenomenal forearm. Not much else left to say about that. We really just want to get into the main event. John Cena versus Gunther. Right up here, before I get to my side of it, here's the ratings for Saturday night's main event on Cage Match. Honestly, I think it's a little bit in favor of WWE. I don't think I'd give it as high as a 7.31. If 5 is average, I'm looking at somewhere around 6, maybe 6.5 at the highest, because of how awful that opening match was with the end. And then the other 2 matches, look at that right there, actually. It didn't even last 10 minutes. Neither of those matches did. 6 minutes and 9 minutes. So you only had 24, 25 if you round up, 25 minutes of wrestling before the main event. The main event was only 23. So what, not even 50 minutes of wrestling for a 2.5 hour show. it very much fell victim to classic WWE TKO style wrestling, where it was just overproduced, long drawn out entrances, plenty of ads. We had a Miz promo at one point with R-Truth. I get that it was arguably their greatest of all time, John Cena retiring in his final match, but they, I think, overplayed way too many video packages. I mean, if you watched the pre-show like I did, they were playing video packages left and right for over an hour for John Cena, and I believe some of them were repeated for the actual Saturday Night's Main Event show, and I just feel like that fluff really wasn't needed. Especially for the likes of John Cena. We have all probably seen plenty of his matches and have a lot of memories tied to John Cena. So I think they overdid it there. And yeah, the other 3 matches were shortened to the point. I mean, the tag match was barely over 6 minutes. Like, what are you doing, WWE? I really don't like that you're still continuing this in 2025, where you're giving the minimal amount of effort needed to somehow get these people to pay your astronomically high ticket prices. And I think that's still just a huge L by WWE. The match itself, now let's get into that. Very, very divisive. I myself, I'm going to be honest, right after it ended, I didn't like it. Not because of the fact that he lost. A lot of people just want to sweep it under the rug that like, oh, you only didn't like it because he lost. I have my reasons why I didn't like it. Not just because he lost, it's how he lost. John Cena, his whole career, the entire career, hustle, loyalty, respect, never give up, all that stuff, and he gave up. It would have made way more sense if Cena passed out instead of doing a little smirk and tapping out. I get what people are saying, that like, oh, it was, part of like his story, and like Cena wanted this and he wanted to lose. Even if he did want to lose, you have to say, in my opinion, even if it was his choice, I don't think it was a very good choice to go out tapping. Not to dig on Cena too much, because he is an absolute legend. He's not my GOAT. My GOAT's right there on the wall. But to allow him, if he was the one that called that finish, I don't think it was the right call, Cena. I don't think you should have tapped out. If anything, you should have passed out. Half the match felt like a rear naked choke, because for the final 5 or 6 minutes of the match, I swear it was all on the ground, just chokehold. And then Cena reversed it into like his STFU or STF or whatever hell he calls it now, back to like the chokehold. It was very slow. The pacing was strange. There's the added aspect where I didn't like that it was Gunther. I've said that on my channel already, that I think the whole start to finish of Cena's retirement run was kind of lackluster. It was almost a fluke in a way. I mean, you've got the heel turn that they backpedaled on. You have The Rock coming out, I believe, when he held like 1, 2, 3 or whatever up in the air. Like, where the fuck was that? Where did that go? Absolutely nowhere. Brock Lesnar just squashed him in less than 10 minutes? We got nothing from that. Like, that was just, what the fuck was that all about, And so many other things that just didn't make sense. The pacing was weird for the retirement tour. Certain outcomes was very wishy-washy and just strange. And then the tournament felt like a letdown, because all the guys that actually feuded with him in the past that he could have gave the rub to, much like other stars that have lost in their final match, they usually rub it off on someone that they feuded with or was feuding with in their career. He never feuded with Gunther until leading up to this match. It could have been The Miz, someone that he feuded with in the past, and having The Miz beat him. Or maybe Cena could have won, because there are legends who have gone out on retirement that have won. Sting is the first one that comes to mind in AEW. But you have The Undertaker beat AJ Styles and rode off into the sunset with his motorcycle. You had Stone Cold technically came back for a match against Kevin Owens, and that was his last match, and he beat Kevin Owens. Trish Stratus, I believe, won her final match for a title. I mean, the list goes on if you really sit down and dive deep into it. Not all of them lose. It's the way and how they lose, and how it's perfected and played out, and how it is executed. It's all about execution, not losing. And I don't think it was executed as well as they probably had hoped, because, again, very divisive, very down the middle. You have these comments up here that I'm sharing right here on Instagram. So I'm not just screen grabbing from Cage Match. There's a lot of people that say like, oh, Cage Match is AEW bias. These are coming from WWE's Instagram and their videos and their uploads. And there are plenty that you're seeing that are going through the screen right now with comments left and right of people being very upset by this. And I personally also didn't like the outcome. Had he have passed out, it would have been a little better. I think he could have won. There was a lot of kids there. John Cena is the PG. He is a face of PG product for WWE, and he lost in front of thousands of kids and millions more at home. I like to say that no reaction is worse than any reaction, and when he lost, it felt eerily similar to when Roman Reigns beat The Undertaker, and the whole fucking crowd just went silent. There was no reaction for like 10 seconds while everyone was processing it, and then they started booing Roman Reigns out that fucking building, saying, what the fuck, like, you fucked up, this was awful, all of that stuff, if you remember it. Same thing happened on Saturday night's main event. I mean, there were AEW chants behind Triple H. They said all kinds of things to Triple H.
Fuck you, Hunter! Fuck you, Hunter! Fuck you, Hunter! You Hunter!
They said, we don't care. They said, we want Vince. They said, you fucked up. They called him Baldy, which I think that, a little too much there. You don't need to, like, insult him personally. Just, more so how he runs the business, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, all kinds of things there. I truly think that it could have been handled better. The whole retirement tour could have been handled better. Overall, Saturday night's main event was okay. First match was not good. The other two matches were whatever. And the actual match itself until the end, I was actually pretty into. I thought it was better than what I was expecting. Gunther is, in fact, a really good heel, so nothing to take away from him. I just don't think that he was the guy that deserved to be Cena's last match. Now on to AEW for the remainder of this video, and what a great fucking show that we had on Collision. I believe in my last video, at the beginning of my video, I made a little comment beneath my name saying that I believed Collision was going to be better than Saturday night's main event, and it was. From start to finish, overall, the full package, much, much better than Saturday night's main event. For one, you had more matches. I mean, this card was really good for Winners Coming Collision. Mainly what I want to talk about here, we saw Josh Alexander and Swerve back in his first singles match. He picked up the win against Alexander. I think his house call kick looks even more ruthless and aggressive now that he's packed on some muscle. Great win for Swerve. Hayter and Statlander beat the Sisters of Sin, I believe, if I recall right. Briscoe defended against Garcia in a really good main event TNT title match. But the Continental Classic matches is what I want to focus on here because they were so damn good again. Speedball is the dark horse of this tournament. How many of you out there had him being tied for the most points in the Gold League? I certainly didn't. Unpredictable, like I've said in a couple of videos now. He beats his teammate Kevin Knight. A really good match. They had a great spot where they both went for a clothesline off the top rope across the ring to each other and clotheslined each other. But yes, Speedball picked up the win at the end. Really good match. And the better match, which is hard to say because that match was good, Claudio and Takeshita put on a really, really good match. And it went the distance. It ended up being a draw. They both got 1 point each. Takeshita is so damn good, and I cannot wait until he holds a main title in AEW. And Claudio, getting another point, still staying ahead of Moxley. These stories within the Continental Classic are superb, I think. Because I think by the end of the Continental Classic, that is when they're probably going to kick out Moxley. Moxley is going to look weak in comparison to Claudio, and probably even Pac 2, who might end up with more points than Moxley does. We'll see what happens there, but that was a really good show by Collision. I love Mark Briscoe's title defense, going back to that now. I hope that he holds it for a while and not just, a month or two. Mark Briscoe, he deserves a long, lengthy TNT title run, and I'm very curious to see who he defends it against next. If anybody deserves to take it off of him, I think it'll be Shelton Benjamin, because there is news that Bobby Lashley is legitimately injured. I'm here to report that. If you haven't seen it yet, Now we know Lashley is legitimately injured. They don't know how much time he'll be on the shelf. But this is the time to capitalize on Shelton Benjamin probably having one final singles championship run. So if anybody deserves to take a singles title from Mark Briscoe, it is you, Shelton Benjamin. And now back to the Continental Classic quick, just to give an update on the standings. First to Blue League. You've got a tie at 7 apiece with Claudio and Takeshita after that match. And then you got Moxley, you've got Dorada and Cassidy all at 3. Roderick Strong's the only person in this tournament besides Jack Perry, because he took over Darby, that doesn't have a point. And there was an interesting screen grab I have right here for you to look at quick. He's the only one standing there that doesn't have anything going on for him in the conglomeration. Now, is that to say he's going to join them finally and fully dive into it? Or is he going to turn heel? I really feel like there's a Roddy heel turn waiting to happen, but maybe I'm wrong and maybe he does just fully, embrace the conglomeration and then he starts winning. Hopping over to the Gold League, you've got a 3-way tie right now with Okada, Mike Bailey of all people, and Kyle Fletcher. Kevin Knight with 3, Pac with 3, and like I said a moment ago, Jack Perry with 0 yet, although I do hope that he at least gets on the board because he does deserve to at least have some points. This is still likely going to end up being Okada versus Takeshita is a likely outcome, but they are doing such a damn good job at making it so unpredictable with these matches, because I think there's 2 or 3 matches now so far in the tournament that I've gotten wrong that I was shocked by. 2 more things left for AEW. Right up here, before the show went live, Tony Khan came out and actually announced that AEW Dark is returning for one night while they're still over there. They're bringing back AEW Dark, calling it the Stocking Stuffer. And this is what we have announced so far. It's going to be Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central on YouTube, so stay tuned for that. We got Marina Shafir versus Isla Dawn, I forget how you pronounce her first name actually. That should be pretty good. Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, and Dorada versus Andrews, Kid Lycos, and Kid Lycos 2. I don't know much about them, so if you do, let me know down in the comments. I don't even know if I pronounced their names right. Then you got the Death Riders versus Nathan Cruz and the Grizzled Young Vets. Like seeing the Grizzled Young Vets. They might have more, but those are the 3 matches announced for Dark, and it'll be nice to have them have a special return for one night only. Last thing on this video, right up there for you guys to look at. Look how fucking stacked we're going to have this special 3-hour holiday bash. Look at this card that we're going to get, you guys. Kyle Fletcher versus Pac in the Continental Classic Gold League. Orange Cassidy versus Dorada in the Blue League. Blue League match between Moxley and Strong. You got the Elite returning for the first time in a while against the Don Callis family. You have this 8-woman tag match that looks to be a bash. FTR versus the Bang Bang Gang for the AEW Tag Team Championship. You got the Diamond Battle Royal. Do we see MJF return here? Do we see a debut? And then the sprinkles on top, the cherry on top to a fucking stacked show is a contract signing between Samoa Joe, Swerve, and Hangman. A triple threat. So Samoa Joe will likely still retain, because if they're going to put it on him one last time, I think he's going to have a lengthy title run. But you never know, because I didn't expect Hangman to lose as soon as he did. That's all I had on this episode of Screw the Script. You let me know down below your thoughts on the John Cena's final match, his retirement tour, your thoughts on Saturday night's main event. What about your thoughts on AEW Collision? What are you most excited for coming up on the 3-hour special for Holiday Bash? Let me know down in the comments. As always, this has been Maverick with Screw the Script. Thanks for watching.